Welcome y bienvenidos to this monthly sit-down conversation, our cultural capacity featured voices interview here on the official Educator Aid sponsored YouTube channel, as well as all different podcast platforms. You can see we are called Love Learning You. We've recently gone through a brand shift in the past year, and I like to be really transparent with you all as we grow and evolve together. And one of the reasons why is because I felt that our guests every month are doing so many incredible things that align with one of our core frameworks, which is called cultural capacity. It's a concept that we've developed over time that's really about understanding that all of us are consistently learning and growing together on this earth. And we all have things that we can learn and understand and value from each other's cultural origin stories, as well as our lived experiences. So every month, I get to sit down with an incredible guest and just have conversation. So today's guest is no different than any other that I get to introduce and host here. I don't even know, did I say I'm Justine? That's my name if you're new here. My name's Justine Gonzalez. You see that in the corner, but welcome, and I'm your hostess. And our guest today is the Isabel Draughon. Now, as you all know, if you've listened before, you know that I like to give guests their flowers, meaning I believe in celebrating people while we have them right here with us and sharing also how we met. And so I want to start by saying I've gotten the opportunity, and if you haven't watched, I think I'll link it in the show notes. I got the opportunity to interview in the fall the president, I believe you know him too, Isabel, the president of National Speakers Association, Illinois. And both of us are based in the Chicago area, and his name is Dean Hefta. He's been a guest here. I'll link his interview as well. But that is also, thank you, Dean, how I met Isabel ultimately was by joining National Speakers Association. So you might hear me share some more videos too about that journey of just evolving. My guest here today, she's a person I admire because she's already been in the speaking arena, and I am a newbie to that particular area as far as being on larger stages. So I love sharing my journey transparently of anything that I'm learning in hopes that maybe it sparks something in you to explore something new. That's what we are all about here, is being compassionately curious. So let's hop into it with our guest, Isabel. The first time we met, I felt just such an incredible energy. And the only thing that always comes to mind is sunshine, sunshine, sunshine. When I think about when I first met you, and I'm like, she's like high vibe like I am. And one of the things that I always jokingly tell our viewers and listeners, I tell on myself. I get myself in trouble sometimes with too much sunshine because I know we're all wired differently. And I can have a lot of energy. So
me too.
that was one thing right away, though, that I felt from Isabel. But one thing I want to point out is in that conversation, we were meeting with a group of ladies, and each person at the table was so welcoming to me. It was my first time meeting most of you at that table. But in particular, I remember we were both sitting on the end, and we both leaned in at one point and we said, well, now this is getting interesting. So we went pretty deep,
we are kindred spirits. We really are.
Yes, we went pretty deep, pretty fast. And what stuck out to me, and I'll share a very short anecdote before I hand off the mic to you to tell us a little bit more about just how you typically introduce yourself, and just some things about your professional background. Then we'll get into some questions. But the first thing, when I think back to that conversation, there was a point, and you were talking about whenever you go back home and taking your children to visit, and I'll let you share more about your origin story, but taking your children to visit, which is not in the United States. And we both shared this bond of this vast difference of pace, of how you learn and how you, just a different way of being and a different light. But one of the things, I'm getting chills as I'm talking about it, because I just always have this picture now, and you said, I just sit and listen at the feet of God. And so I want to give you your flowers, because you're a person who you are, and you're authentic from the time that people meet you. I can
Thank
tell
you.
that you have a burning passion to serve God with your gifts.
Oh
And
my
I
God,
just wanted
yes.
to tell you that and affirm you today.
Thank you.
We have
I
met pretty
appreciate
recently,
that.
but when you have a kindred spirit, you know that. Without further ado, tell us a little bit about Isabel Draughon and how you typically introduce yourself when people.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for having me, Justine. I'm excited to be with you, to be in the space. As you said, we met in Speakers Academy and we've been face to face maybe once or
Mhm.
twice.
Mhm.
And you are correct. From the first day that we met, you feel that energy because I'm an energy person. I'm an empath. So it's all about energy. And I'm like, she's my sister. This is someone like-minded, right? You're my tribe. We were just connecting the conversation. And from that day on, if I can be honest, I've really been eager and I've anticipated to have moments where you and I could just sit and really have conversations, right? And just to see where you're at, where I'm at, and what you've been through, your experiences, and to help one another grow with what we do. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for that introduction. I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me to be seen and heard. But yeah, so my name is Isabel Draughon, and I am a life transformational and spiritual coach. I also do holistic leadership.
Mhm.
And the name of my business is called, I've been in business for over 2 decades.
Mhm.
The name of my business is called Loud Whisper, Reignite Your Voice. And what I do is I empower women to use their voice. I feel as though women have been screaming for help on the inside, but no one hears them because it comes out as a
Mhm.
whisper.
Mhm.
So through my own journey and my own life experiences, God has put it. Before I used to be like, oh, I have this passion. It's not a passion, guys, anymore. I'm awakened to the fact that this is my calling,
Mhm.
right? It's not a passion, it's a calling. And with that calling, I get to, first of all, experience life, heal within myself through what I do, right? To being able to empower women, just to be able to use their voice. And my goal is if I could really help women move through their
Mhm.
trauma into a higher state of consciousness so that they can use their voice and understand who they were created to be, that would be
Mhm.
amazing. I also do corporate wellness, which is something that I'm extremely excited about right now, too. I've jumped into this not even realizing that everything that I've been doing just ties right into it. And let me tell you a little bit about this. What I'm more excited about really is this helping people out, right? We live in a world where, especially now, we're doers. We're like machines. All we do is do, do, do. God has placed it in my heart to bring people back to being, because when you come to your being is when you connect to who you were
Mhm.
really created to be. In our being is where all our strength happens, where all the creativity happens,
Yes.
and really our truth happens. So I know that a lot of people are doing corporate wellness right now, showing businesses how to take care of their employees. And
Mhm.
I'm doing part of that. But what I'm extremely excited that God has placed on my heart, which first I was saying, no, God, because people are already saying what I do is woo woo. They're not going to listen to it. But God is like, do it. Is
Yeah.
really empowering leaders to be more of beings, to be more vulnerable, right? Because you need a human being to be able to help another human being. So we
Yeah.
have to come back home to ourselves. So I'm
Yes.
excited about getting into that arena, in the corporate arena, and just really bringing humanity into it, right? Creating spaces and environment where people can flourish, not only profit margin flourishing. No, it's about the
Right.
people, because when the person flourishes, right, everything else falls into place. So that's who I am. I am a mother of three
Mhm.
amazing children that they're my life. I love them to death. They drive me crazy, but with the crazy comes with the crazy in love
Yes,
with them.
exactly.
Yeah, and I'm a wife to my husband. We've been married for over 20 years. He's also my
Oh,
business partner. Yes, yes.
ah,
So yeah, so
oh,
I've been blessed in that area.
me and my partner maybe found our next mentors. My
There you
long
go.
time, I've been with my partner over 10 years, and he and I are also both business owners and partners as well.
Oh,
So,
nice. We need to do
we're
lunch. We
right.
need to
You
do
all see,
dinner,
yes,
something.
you all see, we're getting to know each other organically, but through the
Yeah.
gifts and passions that we both have. We
Yeah.
both love talking, but,
Number
but we
one,
also
sometimes too much.
right. So let me
Yeah.
share this though. I like to flash this up just so people have a reference point, and we will be linking this. Don't
Okay.
forget, you all, in the show notes. Always look at the
Thank you.
resources section because we put the direct links. And Isabel has actually a big Chicago-based event that's going to be coming up in the fall of 2024 that you'll want to save the date for. But we will put all that in the resources. Just wanted to drop that reminder and show you her lovely picture on her official
Thank
website.
you.
I love your website, by the way.
Thank you.
So let's hop back into it. And this first
Okay.
segment, we're kind of gonna do it's almost like a speed dating so that people get to know a little bit of the lighter side, and then we go a little bit deeper. And I'm so excited to come back and ask you more about your thoughts with the corporate well-being movement, and also how do we also overcome, maybe if we're in corporate roles, maybe being more accepting of it, because I could also see where that'd be really challenging to try to implement those strategies into corporate, because it's a different world. But guess what? We are all becoming a very different world really fast. So we have to adapt and evolve with it. So let's hop into it and learn from Isabel's story, just some little snapshots of it. Let me get my notes up. Excuse me, you all. Okay, here we go. The first question that I have, though, and again, we just call these cultural connectors, a great way to get to know people. But first question, if you have to choose, well, you might already have this, Isabel. You have to choose.
What?
You have to choose an anthem to walk on stage. What's your song?
You know, gosh. There's so many. And the reason why I say that is, but right now, it's a couple gospel songs right now. But if I envision myself really, as I did last year with the different conferences, Rise Up always comes up by Andra Day. Rise up the day. Because I always feel like my life is about me always rising up. I constantly have to rise up. I constantly have to lift my head above water. It's constantly a stretching thing, right? And when I think about rising, I always feel like God is just always pulling me up and rising me and lifting me up, right? It's always that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would say that.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, next question. We get to transport. This is a time travel question. Ooh.
Okay.
You get to transport back in time with you to one of your favorite childhood meals. What are we eating?
Ooh. Well, in America, they call it cream of wheat. Back home, we call it porridge.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
So your favorite meal as a kid was porridge.
Yeah.
Now, was there a special?
So good.
Was there a special way that someone in your family made it?
Or they just made it like with milk as a child. I remember that. Now, I always love steak, but when I really think about childhood, something that gave me warmth in my soul was when I was eating porridge. It was just that. It was the connecting. And I was on the dining table. Sometimes I'm on the floor with my cousins, and everybody has their own, plate, and you're just eating it. Just the warmth of it, it brought connection and all that stuff. So even as my kids were growing up here, I gave them cream of wheat. So when kids growing up, so they call it cream of wheat. Back home we call it porridge.
Yes, wonderful.
Yeah.
Now tell us really quick, where is back home so that the viewers know?
Okay. So back home is Tanzania. It's actually dual. My dad is from Tanzania, which is the eastern part of Africa, and my mom is from Zambia, which is the southern part of Africa. Okay. Both from the east and the south, yes.
You're a third culture kid too.
I am a third culture kid to the T, girl. Let me tell you, I've never been to school in Tanzania. We used to go back home for the holidays. You know how people take vacation to go somewhere else?
Yes.
Going home was vacation for us. My father was a diplomat, and I've traveled all my life. I've lived in different countries. Wow. And I think it's truly a blessing now, the older that I am. I grew up, I went to boarding school. I think I was at the age of 8.
Okay.
when we were in boarding school. So all my life I've been in boarding school. I've lived in different countries because my dad traveled, went to different
Right.
schools. So I have friends from so many different places.
Yeah.
And now that when I really look at it and the older that I get, I'm so grateful, right? You look at your life and there's so many things you wish that could be different. And sometimes this going to boarding school and traveling a lot, you miss, you become a third world child. So you're not connected to your home because you're hopping everywhere. But now it allows me to connect with people, right? I get to be around people from all walks of life, and anybody can come in my space.
Yeah.
I receive them because I have lived,
Yeah.
broken bread, cried,
Yeah.
shared with all religions, all
Yes.
types of people, all types of colors. So truly now at my age, it's a blessing. I am
Yeah.
blessed, and I use that really to be able to work in God's kingdom. And I
Yeah.
think God did that for a reason. Yeah.
I have the belief that I think God writes all of our stories for a very specific purpose
Yes.
and call on our
Yeah.
soul while we get time on earth, right? And we
Yeah.
try to enjoy. I love what you said about what you choose to focus on, because
Hmm.
there's certainly all things that we could wish were different
Yeah.
or wish
Yeah.
hadn't happened to us.
Yeah.
However, how does it help us, right, to go dwell on something
Yeah.
that we can't change rather than going, how do I build upon this? And to your song, how do we rise up and how do
Yeah.
we be lifted through those experiences of how you
Hmm.
said you feel like God is always pulling you to go, like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
calling you here, daughter. Let's go. Like,
Let's go. Right.
right, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was
Let's do
that
that.
this is also another curious question, right? Because my and viewers, some viewers know this. My mother was Amish and Mennonite background, father Puerto Rican, and
Hmm.
right, so that's very different backgrounds in your home. Was that contentious and for you, like for your parents, because they're from Zambia and Tanzania? Talk to us a little bit about culturally, was that contentious because they were
Well,
cultures, technically different
my
countries?
situation is a little bit different, right?
Okay.
That happened for me myself, right? And the thing about the African culture, we may be from different countries or have different tribes, but there's that silver lining, right? That everything is kind of like the same, the community, the love and the respect, obviously different tribes, different languages.
Yes.
But here is the thing. When my father had me, he was married. So I was born out of an affair,
Oh,
right?
wow.
So yeah, yeah.
Oh, we're going
So
deep, everybody.
we were. That's what exactly what it was.
Yes.
Affair, friendship, whatever they want to call it. But just to
Right.
be honest, right? So my mom, I lived with my mom, but then I went and lived with my dad. I think from the time when, if I remember correctly, I was about 6 months. Me and my younger brother were 6 months apart. But that household, my dad's household is full-blown Tanzanian,
Got
right?
it.
So that
Okay.
culture
Yeah.
was the same. But
Yeah.
even with my mom, so they have the similarities to it, but it's the differences. It's interesting that you asked me that because I was thinking about, God was speaking to me about a book, and something came to me the other day. It's surviving the wilderness.
Yeah.
As much as my life was great, I was a little child in the wilderness
Yeah. Yeah.
because of going from one home to another, adjusting to the different cultures and all the kind of stuff. That just brought me back, the fact that you asked that question. But no, it was kind of seamless. The cultures are pretty much the same, just different languages, probably different foods, just
Okay.
little difference of similarities, but it's not that
Right.
starch of a difference. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Not
you
that
for
much of a
giving us a little
difference.
bit of education there, just so that
Yeah.
I know we have listeners in over 35 countries, but
Yeah.
right,
So it's not
we
like being in the
yes,
US and being in Africa, right? Now
yes.
there we can talk for
Now
10
that there
hours
yeah, we need like
about the
over
culture
24 hours.
difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
no, not much of a difference. It pretty was much a lot more of just how the environment, right? The difference of the environment with my mom who raised me and my mom that gave birth to me. So those are just the things that I
Yes.
used to had
Yes.
to be able to juggle. Yeah.
Okay. it makes so much sense as I hear you speak, and that kind of aha you just had. It makes so much sense that you're literally in the business of, right, your ministry, your service, how you serve through your company for decades has been to essentially help women become more grounded and connected to themselves.
Yes, yes,
Because
yes.
little Isabel had a lot of opportunities where she didn't have grounding. So
No.
it makes a lot of sense why
Yeah.
you're very masterful at what you do. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have grounding, and I always tell people, bless my father's heart. He did, my parents did, you know, you get to an age you understand your parents did the best that they could.
Yeah,
It's
they're
also
human.
not having
They're
the
human.
human, right? Not having the grounding, but a lot of people, when I have a conversation with people and I say, can you imagine living a life and you've never heard your father say, I love you? It's not that he didn't though, but he showed it in a different way, right? So this wilderness consisted of me looking for love. It consisted of me seeking myself, and it consisted of me making not so good decisions, being with not so good men, and in turn, it becomes the experience of who I am.
Yes. Yeah, we might need to take a break and cry. No. No, but this makes so much sense why kindred spirits are a thing, because those are exactly the pattern when we don't receive love, but further, we don't realize into our adulthood maybe those wounds. We seek that validation and affirmation from sources that are not always aligned with really what's actually the best for us. That's where sometimes all of us can get ourselves into just, I call them, I don't even want to label them, very misaligned situations.
Yes.
And misalignment.
And I had quite a few of those.
Same. It can lead to heartbreak. It can lead to very bad things that are not enjoyable to go through in life. And we can also choose to see those as a blessing of a lesson for how we learn. And I want to just highlight that point though, because that's a really big deal as far as even communications. And because we're culture and communication here, how we communicate has a lot to do with love language and how we express that. So for a child, right, if you're a parent listening to this, you have a kid and you just keep going, they're so sensitive, right? I'm letting you all in on a little bit of my story. You're so sensitive all the time. And we started out by recognizing that we're both empaths. We feel people's emotions a lot, including our parents, and we often carry them, even if that's not our job. As a kid, you don't know that. You just want to see that mom and or dad are okay. And so then you end up trying to prove yourself, right? You try to prove yourself to look for that love because, I'm not getting told that. So maybe if I do this, and it might even be subconscious, maybe if I do this. And for me, that was becoming a workaholic, right? Because I want to prove myself with different things. So, okay, we'll come back to this.
It's interesting that I know that you say that. For you became a workaholic, I became a people pleaser because I was one.
Well, that too, Isabel. I'm a recovering one of those too.
Oh yeah, right, a recovering one. And it's just being able to picture this girl in the wilderness, because we all know every human being wants to be validated. I don't care who you are.
Yes.
We seek some form of validation, but the most important validation starts from home. So if you don't get that validation from home, you're just in the wilderness looking for somebody to say, I see you, I love you, or just something, right? You're seeking that. And it doesn't mean that my parents didn't love me. They didn't know how to show me love.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, they didn't know how to show me love. So in that process, I found myself in peculiar situations, really, that time after time after time diminished my humanity, diminished who God created me to be, just diminished me until when I hit rock bottom. And that's when then again God comes and you got to rise up now.
Yes. Yeah. I have that picture, right, of footprints in the sand. And I just always picture, that's when I was carrying you. When you see one set of footprints, that's when I was carrying you.
Right. So yeah, we empaths for real. We're gonna cry the whole show.
So you all see, we asked one question about a favorite food, and
And here we are. Okay.
So next question, and then we'll move into some more professional conversation from your professional
Okay.
aspect. But I thank you for already being so open and vulnerable with us. If you had a quote that comes to mind, a quote, a scriptural verse, etc., something that drives and inspires you for your life's journey and path, what would it be and why? Why would that be it? Share that with us. If you can just choose one.
Be still. Right. I have so many because I have so many sheroes. I can talk about Maya Angelou. I can talk about all these people.
Yes.
Rumi.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that really drives me, and the older that I get, that has more meaning to me than it ever did, and it has more power to me than it ever did, is be still and know that God.
Mm. Well, that's the end of the podcast, everyone.
Oh my God.
No, it's like, look, my theme for 2024 is talk less, say more.
Yeah.
To try to be more still, even with my thoughts.
Yes.
Trying to
Yes.
regulate, even when I feel like I'm excited, right? But how do I say, okay, you might have all these ideas, or maybe you have all these things to do today. And for any of you watching, maybe have a task list, or you don't know how you're going to pay a bill, or you have somebody who's in the hospital that you love. Just remember, no amount of doing or trying to over control. The sweet spot is where surrender is, when you surrender, that's the sweet spot, because then you allow space to be still and to know. And I think that is something that we're all learning more about as humans and together, right? And we look at the generations like our parents. Again, there's humanity evolves. They all did the best they could with the experiences and tools that God gave them. Okay. All right. Final quick cultural connector. What's on your bookshelf right now? What are you reading right now?
Oh my God. Are you the type who just reads several different things?
Me too. Yeah, I do. Yep.
Yeah. So I know I started reading Jada Pinkett Smith's book the other day. Everybody keeps saying it's a great book. Look into that. Brene Brown is what I'm reading right now. And then Michael Singer. I read a lot of Michael Singer. So I'm always reading spiritual books, right? To be able to, because the thing about it is, I teach from my life experiences. And as I teach, I grow. As I teach, I evolve. As I teach, I heal. Right. So those are the type of books that I'm always reading. And of course, the Bible is I'm always with the Bible, go to sleep, listening to the Bible. But right now I was reading Jada Pinkett Smith's book, I like to listen to other people's stories. And then Untethered Soul with Michael Singer is what I have right now. That's what I'm reading. I think I've read it like the fourth time. It always brings me alive. You have to read
I need
that.
to reread it. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Now, thank you for going on that journey with us. We have some more time here, and this FAQs segment is where we get to know a little bit more of you as a practitioner of your skills, your speaking, your coaching, all of the things that you do under the umbrella of your company, your organization, as well as just you, who you are as an advisor, a coach, an executive leader. And FAQs is really, what are your most frequently asked questions right? So you all know the roles and the hats that Isabel wears at this point in our interview. We're going to ask some guided questions here to help. So especially if you are a person who works in leadership, if you're in the corporate space, any space you're in really as a professional, we want to bring it back to the work she does. And one of the things I did want to ask you really quick, just so we get a pulse and frame up these questions, because I was intrigued when you said this earlier, and it's something that I'm not super knowledgeable about yet. I've done some work in the corporate space, and our firm is branching out more into that with our employee engagement surveys as we grow and build. But you mentioned corporate well-being and corporate wellness. Have you encountered, and again, this is just for all of us to know and understand, and because I don't know, have you gotten pushback, or have you encountered that there's a lot of resistance around that? Or do you see more acceptance where, and I'm going to specifically just speak to corporate America right now, where corporate America is actually saying, you know what, if we want to keep younger generations of employees, we need to understand what they're telling us they need. What are you seeing? Are you seeing a little bit of both? Just landscape wise, what are you
that's a great question. I'm seeing a lot of acceptance now. Before, as I mentioned earlier, when it used to be this woo-woo thing, nobody wants to talk about other things. It's all about the numbers, the spreadsheets, right?
Bottom
What is our
line.
profit margin? What is the bottom line? You know, what can you produce for us? And the thing about this generation, I love, because it brings us back to our being, right? It's teaching corporations that I am a human being before a human doer, right?
Yes.
I have to be within myself before I can do, because before you're working 40 hours for 40 years for 40,000, then you graduate, you're given a gold watch, right? Nowadays they're like, no. My life is valuable every day.
Yep.
I'm not waiting for 40 years for you to show me value, right? And now a lot of the people are starting to understand, which rightfully so, they're of value, right? And when you understand the value, that means people are getting to know themselves. And it's really about a lifestyle. It's truly about a lifestyle. People are tired of surviving. People want to start living, because I think we're starting to realize that this life is really short. You cannot give your whole life to your business or to the company that you work for, and then you don't take care of the people close to you, because life is about the people around you. Life is about how you live it. It's really not even about the money that we're chasing and all that stuff. I always say we're constantly chasing money, but when you die, money doesn't even chase you. It goes to the next person.
That's right.
You know, like we're constantly chasing all this money to to own all these things, when in actual reality we don't own anything. And like it even states in the Bible, everything is meaningless. Like we do not own, because if I die today, even if I have 20 properties, I just acquired those properties. I don't own them. Eventually I'm going to die, my kids may have them, and then somebody else will take them. So I say that to say that yes, it's a good thing now. A lot of corporations are bringing people in to talk about wellness, because what they're starting to see is, when you take care of your people, you don't have to worry about the bottom line.
That's right.
Because it's human nature, right? When you do right by me, I'm going to do right by you. When you do right by me, I am happy. I'm excited about not just the business, I'm excited about my life. When I'm excited about my life, then I get excited about what I'm producing. I get excited about how I'm showing up in life. So it becomes a ripple effect. So the biggest thing now, which I'm so glad people are becoming more acceptance, corporation are like, okay, let's bring this wellness in, let's bring in the well-being. I just want them to go a notch higher. Don't only do it for your employees. It starts with leadership. I hear a lot of people talk about leadership. Leadership is the buzzword right now. Leadership. Everybody wants to be in leadership. Everybody wants to be a leader. But here is the thing. You can't lead anybody unless you learn how to lead yourself.
I was going to ask how. I was going to say that. Yes, literally. How are you leading yourself? And that is the reality. It's we're in an era where you don't have, if anybody specifically 40 and under, that basically captures right now millennials, Gen X, and then Generation Alpha is under that. They move differently because they've been brought into the world differently. The world is very different, and it's rapidly evolved in their life. So when we're not listening to that and even taking steps to say, hey, how am I just even engaging employee voice? How am I even valuing the voices first? To say, hey, Isabel, what's been your experience in this company? Have I even done that? So I think I am also very much, and that's the work we do, but I'm a huge advocate for just ask. It's the same thing as far as even one-on-one conversation. Well, when people say, oh, well, I didn't want to be rude, or if you're being compassionate, and you're being authentically and genuinely
I was
curious,
just about to say that. Yeah.
just ask.
Yeah, we need leaders that have empathy. I'm not saying
Yeah.
sit there and be soft. I'm not saying be a Isabel or Justine 24/7 where you're going to be crying if somebody's going on. We are great leaders. We just love hard. That's the difference, right? But we
Intense.
need intense.
Mhm.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
need leaders who have empathy. We need leaders who can create space for their employees. We need leaders who can listen, not only people who are there to give orders, not only people who are there to tell people what they're doing wrong and what they need to improve. No, we need leaders who care about their employees. But the only way a leader could do that is, what
Mm,
does the leadership in your life look like? And I'm not
mm.
talking about perfectionists, right? I'm talking
Yes.
about your
Yep.
whole, your mind, your body, your spirit, your whole environment, whether it's your family. What does that landscape look like? Because here is the truth. If I'm doing the best, if I'm the best version of who I am with my
Mhm.
family, with myself, my coworkers, and my friends, that becomes easy for
Yes.
me to show up that way
Yep.
because I become that of which, right?
Yes.
That I teach or desire to teach. So those are the type of leaders that we need. That's the
Yeah.
culture that we're in right now. It is really not about spreadsheets. It's not even about accolades anymore. It's not even about degrees
No.
anymore.
No.
People could care less.
Mm.
What people are asking themselves is, are you seeing me? Do you see me? Do you hear me? And yes, I will work for you, but yet, no, my family comes first. Before, our family came first, but we had the fear of saying it because they'll say,
That's
we're
right.
not going to give you this job,
That's
right?
right.
But now, like you say, the shift is happening in
Mhm.
humanity,
And
right?
further, if I haven't first taken time to just ask as a leader,
Yeah.
to actually see you and hear you, how
Mhm.
would I ever know how to value you? So, right, we
Yeah.
all have done it and been a part
Yeah.
of creating these great mission and vision statements to say we really value our employee, all the things, right?
Yeah.
But it goes back to how are we actually embodying and
Mhm.
being that in the workplace? And if
Yeah.
we can't just be together and we have to constantly be doing, then
Mhm.
then we have to pause.
Yeah.
I mean, one question I do ask myself a lot, and
Mhm.
I've been self-employed now. I have my company for 7 years. Still struggle
Okay.
sometimes with my work patterns, right? As we all do, but partly too because when you're truly doing your passions, I'm like, well, today I just get to hang out with Isabel. This isn't work,
There you go.
right? So it's also that
Yeah.
mindset shift. But I ask
Yeah.
myself often, are you working to live or are you living to work?
Yeah.
Right? Does your life support your work or does work just support your life and life is your number one? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, work just supports how I want to live my life, right? So what is
Yeah.
your relationship with work? I've
Mhm.
examined as a recovering people pleaser and workaholic. Those are also deeply intertwined, by the
Yeah.
way, because you're often working more to
Yeah.
try to prove
Yeah.
yourself and all the things
And
that you,
that's a
yeah,
response to trauma. Like a
yeah,
lot of us
correct,
don't
correct.
understand that. The
Yes.
overworking, the
Yep.
overdoing is really a response to
Yep.
trauma, right? Running away from ourselves to really have to deal with yourself. I did that for so many
Yes.
years. I
Yes.
wanted to fix everybody else's problem, help
Yep.
everybody else because I didn't want to deal, right, with my own stuff. But and
And
we
it's
live in a
subconscious
society.
to a certain degree too. I would do want to say
It
this.
is.
I also think it's subconscious because if we went back in time to look at ourselves at those times, Isabel, I bet we would have said, "No, I'm doing what's right for my family. I'm doing what I'm
Yes.
supposed to." And I would have
Yes.
also said I was on, where God was leading me. Perhaps that was true at that time, and I felt that way.
Yeah.
As you learn and grow, it's okay. It's okay for me to go, yeah, I was completely unaware of that pattern in
Yeah.
my life, and I
Yeah.
hadn't done the deeper work to identify what trauma in particular had triggered that
Yeah.
for me. Now I have,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
right, the
Mhm.
2020
Yeah.
vision.
It's that I call it the and then what syndrome, right? You go, go,
Mm,
go, 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 go on the hamster wheel. We keep chasing, chasing, chasing. Um, and then what? right? And then what? Did you get to enjoy your life? Did you get to enjoy your children? If you don't have children, do you get to enjoy your husband, your spouse,
Right,
your
right,
partner as you go?
right.
Now, life is a duality, right? It's the light and the dark. Those
Yes.
things are going to happen as you go, but it's really about the world and society understanding now that humanity is back. Like people really want to feel, people want to be loved, people want to be seen. And I'm not saying for people to go into corporations and cuddle people. That's not
Right.
what I'm
No, no,
saying.
no.
What I'm saying is that I'll give you a perfect example. Somebody told me one time, they said, I don't think you're coachable. When I first started doing what I was doing, I was like, oh, okay, really? But what I came to realize is that when you first start doing whatever it is, first of all, you have the imposter syndrome because you want to look like everybody else and be everyone.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
as I continued with my work, I started to realize what I do, these people, they're not numbers. It's not number 24, number 26.
That's
I
right.
work with human beings.
That's right.
Okay. So you have a world where you gotta call these people, so you can make this money, get the sell, get the sell, get the sell. It doesn't work that way. I'm not a product, I'm not dealing with products. So it's the same
Yes.
idea. It's the same idea of seeing people, of understanding people, of having empathy, asking, like you say,
Yeah.
asking, because you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. Sometimes all someone wants to hear you say is, how are you doing? Right? But we live in a world first, when they first see you, the first thing they ask, so, hey, what do you do?
Right.
No.
Right.
You know,
I'm not a title.
I'm
I
not
am
a
a
title.
person.
And that's
Not,
where I
yeah.
believe the mental health and all this self-doubt, all that stuff stems from, because it's the waking up every day asking yourself, who am I going to be today? Who am I going to show up? Because when I walk out into this world, people are not asking me who I am to the core of my being. They're asking me
Mm.
what I can produce and what and how I'm performing. So
Yeah.
we're constantly in the state of wanting to be a performer. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
exhausting
No.
individuals.
Yeah.
People are getting tired. But what we fail to realize is, and if corporations are listening to that, when you're constantly having your employees just perform, you're suppressing their creativity. Creativity comes in stillness. Creativity comes
Yes.
in being, not in doing.
Yeah.
It comes in being. All the great ideas that people have, they were in their being, not
Oof,
in their doing,
yes. They were
right?
sitting in it. I have
Sitting
a
in
friend,
it.
I
Yes.
co-founded an organization called Sabbath Sisterhood with one of my dear friends.
Oh,
So we have an organization we founded, and it's still work in progress. But we're going to host some retreats and things. We've done that
okay.
together. We used to be roommates,
Yeah.
but we have known each other going on a decade, and we've always kind of done that together for each other and been there for each other.
Hmm.
We both lost our
Hmm.
mothers pretty young. And
Hmm.
so I say that because we need rest. She has been just an incredible friend who showed me that and modeled that for me over the years and helped me with that. But to your point, especially from a corporate lens, when we think about innovation and that concept of innovating, and we all want to be innovators, it's exactly what you just said, Isabel. It's the creative thing. So one challenge I would give is for all of us, right, including companies, is asking ourselves, how are we creating that space to just sit in it? As my
Yeah.
friend Isha says, are you sitting in it and waiting to
Yeah.
hear? And now, right,
Hmm.
am I hearing the loud whisper about it?
Yeah. There you go.
So
Yeah.
let's give some guidance to, if people are listening, we have about 10 more minutes together here, and we're
Hmm.
quickly just go through. I was examining a body of work done by Bro6 in 2022, and I'll read a quote
Okay.
real quick. It says, miscommunication in the workplace.
Hmm.
It's about their work, and I want to know, they've listed 4 different barriers in their body of research:
Hmm.
emotional barriers,
Hmm.
perceptual barriers, so how we see the world, perception,
Yeah. Yeah.
interpersonal, colleague to colleague, even family stuff, maybe that we do bring to work unintentionally, and
Yeah.
vice versa, or
Hmm.
cultural. So emotional,
Hmm.
perceptual, interpersonal, or cultural. Um,
Hmm.
when you hear, and we all hear it all the time, it's like the number one thing, there's lack of communication. So
Yeah.
miscommunication in the workplace, which
Hmm.
barrier resonates most with you based on your body of work, Isabel? The emotional, the perceptual, interpersonal, or cultural?
Oh my God, they're all so good.
I know.
Also, they're also good.
Which one stands
Emotional and
out?
interpersonal, I'll put way up there, like
Okay.
emotional, right? Like even with the communication, it goes back to wholeness.
Yeah.
Everything that you just said, it's about wholeness. It's about wholeness of the human being, right? So even if we talk about emotional, right, you still have the other categories that those have to tie in. You have to find that form of alignment, and the emotional part becomes hard because some people are not wired to be able to do that. And that's why I feel for corporations, you can no longer just hire somebody because of the results that they have. You really have to see who this person is as an individual,
Yeah.
because they're dealing with other individuals. Nowadays, life is about how am I living,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right? What is serving me? What is no longer serving me? That's the space that people are coming from. But I'm all about emotional because I'm a person who leads from my heart. I do understand that my mind is very powerful. The world talks about mindset. I always talk about the heart set because I lead from my heart.
Yes.
I feel like the most important decisions that we make in life are made from the heart. And I'm a firm believer that the mind is a powerful thing, but our mind is a powerful tool. But
Yes.
our mind can never comprehend what our heart knows. Okay. So even when you talk about feelings, you never feel with your mind, you feel with your heart.
Yeah. And we have to work through feelings.
Yes.
Many feelings, even if we were to label them good or bad, you don't hang on to them. You shouldn't hang on to them forever because
No.
it's
No.
literally that present moment.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
how do you, and my
Yeah.
partner helps me a lot with this. We're both wired very differently, but it's a perfect
Okay.
balance, right? Because we can
Yeah.
point out each other's blind spots in different ways of,
Yeah.
hey, are you still dwelling on that versus, oh, did you take time, right? Because
Mm.
his go-to is to probably not spend as much time. I shouldn't say that though. He has a very deep thinking mindset. But
Mhm.
that's different from me, right? Because I
Mhm.
will feel something instantly.
Yeah.
And I think he
Yeah.
processes it more through logic. And I know
Mhm.
from some of my work, it has to do with personality.
Different, right?
What
And
about
that's what
you and your husband? Is that similar for you too?
logic. His
Yeah.
logic.
Logic, similar, right? So
Logic. I
that
have to tell him
filter.
like, calm your
Yeah.
mind, calm your mind. So it kind of balances out now. And the wiser I get in my own spirituality is I'm more connected to my heart. He's so logic. Everything is logic. And
Okay.
it's amazing because you want to have somebody logical with you. But
Yes.
at the same time, when somebody's too logical, the mind ruminates. So if it's a negative situation, they run with that, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
where I come on, like, okay, calm down. I'm all in the feeling.
No,
Yeah, I'm all in the
okay,
feeling.
okay.
But just like what you say, I want to piggyback off of what you said really quick.
Okay.
There's no bad feeling, even no bad emotion at all. Even anger is a good emotion. It's just how you utilize it. You
Love
have a right to be angry, right?
that.
Yeah, there is not one bad emotion as human beings. We're emotional human beings. For whatever reason, we've removed the emotion out of our humanity. But that's what creates us. That's what makes the communication, the connection. It's the emotion. And that's why it's important to tell stories, right?
Yes.
Because our stories connect us. It gets to that emotion.
Thank you for
Yeah.
that. Your wisdom in that gave me something I needed to hear right then. Thank you. Good
You're
reminder
welcome.
of something I've been working on. Okay, real quick before see, look, I told you I needed to set an alarm.
Because we'll talk for 2 hours.
Right.
Listen.
I want one more strategy question.
Okay.
I want to know what you're working on, where we can find you. And obviously we're going to link different resources for the conference, your website and stuff in your show notes. But quickly though, what are two bite-sized strategies? So if I'm sitting here watching this and I'm like, whoa, they shared a lot. They and that's like really open. And I don't know if I could ever be that open with a person
Yeah.
in the workplace, right? Whatever that is or whatever is coming up for you who are watching, what are two bite-sized strategies that individuals, So just starting with me, right? Because it is easy to go, oh, my organization. And we also
Yeah.
play a role in contributing to how
Of
we
course.
up. And
Yeah.
ultimately, we are responsible, to your point, for how we respond to any emotion we feel, to any feeling. So what are two bite-sized strategies that any person can implement into their daily lives from the work that you do? Just from your own experiences, if you go,
I
hey,
have to tell you, the number one thing that when I talk to my clients and everything that I do is self-awareness. You have to be aware. And the reason why I say that, just like you mentioned, it's you can't always point the finger at the corporation, right?
yeah,
Most of the times it's our own self-betrayal, right? Most of the
oh,
times is it's easy to say somebody else is the problem, but the problem is we're not speaking our truth. And anytime you're not living in your truth and not speaking your truth, you're betraying yourself. I always say the worst form of betrayal any human being can experience is not from another person, it's from yourself. So
yes,
the number one thing is for you to speak your truth. And when I mean by speak your truth, I'm not saying go in there, talk crazy. No, be honest with yourself. When you're honest with yourself, you're able to communicate it, whether it's to your leaders or to someone else. Because think about it this way, your boss is not a genie. They're not God that they just think, well, Justine, she walked in today and maybe something happened at home. So let me go check with her. No, it
no.
doesn't work that way.
Well, and our
It's
partners aren't genies either.
right, exactly. So it's right, you reciprocate, right? So, and here is the thing. The bottom line is people always treat you the way they see you treat yourself. So if you respect yourself enough and have truth within yourself and speak your truth, right? They don't have a choice but to listen and to hear you. That's big for me. Become more aware of who you are. See, we learn everything else, but we're not understanding who you are, right? The most important knowledge any human being can obtain is knowledge of self. Once you understand yourself, you will understand how to maneuver in different environments.
That's
You
right.
will understand to not always point the finger, because guess what? We are also part of the problem. And that is the thing with the
Yep.
work that I do. It's not always saying this happened to me, this happened for me,
Right.
but I also did this to me. You also have to face those things. And then number two is the simplest thing I tell anybody and everybody, please, whether it's in corporation, whether you're at home or whatever you do in life, learn how to breathe.
Mm,
A lot of us are not breathing.
yeah. That was one of the first, I'll share that vulnerably very, very quick. That was one of
Yeah.
the first realizations I had when I first had like a different PTSD and like anxiety attack stuff years ago. Was I had to accept, and it made me really mad actually. Like I was really embarrassed about it because
Yeah.
like I think somebody made a joke once about like, oh, you're a mouth breather. Like I think it was something like it triggered something to go,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, I don't even pay attention to how I'm breathing sometimes.
No,
But it
a lot
hurt,
of us
right? It
don't
stung
breathe.
because, and I'm modeling that for people because when you realize it, it will probably sting in a way and be like, I don't like that about myself.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's change
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Now I do
It
breath work
will
and meditation
sting.
every day.
Yeah, like you say, it definitely will sting, and especially the women that I work with, high achieving professional women, so they never want to hear what they're doing is not working, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because their validation comes from the numbers and how they're performing, their skill set, their accolades, right? So you're not telling me anything, Isabel. I got this. I know my values. I know everything. It's until I say, sit with me for 3 minutes. And that's when they start uncovering that, well, it's great to be this high achiever. It's great to want that. But ask yourself, why? Okay. And the reason why I say breathing, working with women, I realized that, and I want to say this really quick, just to demonstrate so people can really learn how to breathe really quick.
Thank
So you and I could have a conversation and you say something to me and I'm like, oh, okay. So
you.
we stop right there and
Yeah,
let it go.
yeah.
That's not breathing, right? What we need to do is take deep breaths. So what I mean by that, like you inhale for, and then you pause for 2 seconds. If you have a longer wingspan, you can do it for 6 seconds. and then release. Totally different. Do that when you find yourself feeling overwhelmed, feeling anxious. What it does is that it clears your mind. It puts you in the space. For me, is that quote that she told me to talk about, be still. It puts you in that space. It's so simple. You're probably thinking, oh my God, that's so crazy. No, I'm here to tell you. It is that simple that this will help you if you're experiencing anxiety, overwhelm, especially burnout, right? Because burnout is not exhaustion. Burnout is the spirit leaving your body. That's how you get
Yeah, and
tired.
I tell people that
Yeah.
I had body dissociation for years,
Mhm.
and I didn't know it. And it was
Yeah.
running, it was because my nervous system was still fight or flight, running from trauma constantly or running from different situations. And
Yes.
actually, not literally, but inside of you, when you've pushed it down, what's always
Mhm.
going throughout your nervous system all the time.
Oh, that's
And so,
suppression.
so I'm a living example, and I'm just
Mhm.
telling you all, these are the types of practices, and specifically breath work, that
Yeah, breath work is
incredibly
powerful.
helped me over the
Mhm.
years in my healing
Mhm.
journey. That will
Mhm.
continue for my lifetime.
Even before you make a huge decision, if you have to make a decision, something is ruminating, just take the time and breathe. Give yourself time to breathe, just to release all that's being trapped. Because the thing about decision making, I'll say this and I'll be done. I already say I lead from the heart. I believe our heart is where we make the decisions. The reason why it's important for you to breathe, to stop and breathe before you make a huge decision is because it takes a second to make a decision.
Mm.
It's the consequence that you have to live with.
Mm.
So before you say yes to anything, before you say no to anything, but especially yes for us recovering people pleasers,
Mhm.
take the time to breathe. Give yourself that. That will allow you to center yourself and say, is this good for me?
Mm.
Because whatever decision you make, trust me, it'll take you a second to say yes, but it's the consequence that you live with. So always make sure to breathe so you can study the consequence of the decision you're about to make.
Oh, now I'm gonna hear Isabel's voice on repeat. I'm gonna hear you saying, "Just breathe, just breathe." Okay, final thing. Unapologetically living out my purpose. I know you gotta go. What are you working on now? Where can we find you? Should we be out on the lookout for anything? Like I said, we're gonna link your website and everything when we release this.
Thank you for that.
What
Thank
do
you.
you are so welcome. Thank you for your time. But what do you want people to know? Should they follow you someplace? What?
Please follow me. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I'm on TikTok. My website, isabeldraugghon.com. What I'm excited about, I am extremely excited about going out in the world right now and really helping, inspiring people to live their best life, to rewrite their stories, right? And whether that's one-to-one with women, group setting. I'm excited about speaking in conferences, but now to also be able to go into corporations so people can be well. I'm excited about people being well. I'm excited about tackling mental health,
Yes.
spiritual health, physical health. I'm excited about those pillars because what are we here for? What is life without you really, right? Being yourself authentically, good, bad, or indifferent, whatever it looks like. I'm excited about showing people that they're enough just as they are. They just need to come back home to themselves, to tap into ourselves, because you know what? Everything that we need is inside of us.
Yep. It's already there. Mm.
It's already there,
My
sister.
friend,
It's
my
already there.
kindred spirit, I thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Viewers, subscribers, hit follow so that you catch all of our incredible guest interviews at the Cultural Capacity Table.
I forgot to say one more thing.
Yes. Oh, please. Oh, yes, please.
Sorry, guys, I forgot to say
Yeah.
one more thing. I'm actually working on it. Justin mentioned it, the Loud Whisper Women's Conference. Please follow me if you're in the area. Please come and join us. It's in October. This is our third annual conference full of women come as you are. And this year, the theme of the conference is the soul whispers. Dot, dot, dot. Listen.
Oh,
Listen. Your soul is you. That is you. You need to tap into that. Let's tap into that so we can know who God created us to be, and we can be the best version of ourselves. Thank you.
thank you, Isabel. You are a blessing to the world. And I hope you know
Thank you, Justin.
what a
I
beautiful
appreciate
soul
it.
that you are. And for
Thank
all of you
you.
out there, wherever you are today, remember our words of wisdom from our friend. Let's focus on self-awareness first, and
Yeah.
also being willing to sit and be still and know that you are enough just the way you were created by the great creator. Let's continue to get compassionately curious together, and we'll see you all next time. Take care.